Welcome to the Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting of Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, starting the meeting a little after 4:30 in room 206 of Town Hall. First item on our agenda is to review and approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
They're well written. Some interesting language.
So kudos to the drafter.
Yeah.
I had one sentence that didn't make sense on page 2 of 8 in 3A, sort of in the middle where we're saying that 2022, 2023, and 2024 came up with 99 CCF, and then
94.
for usage prior to the irrigation system being built. Because just having usage prior to the irrigation system being installed doesn't make sense.
Oh, you need a 4 instead
You
of a
just
period.
it's no period, just put in for
Oh,
usage
so
prior.
take the period out.
And put a 4.
And put in a 4. That makes them make.
4 with a lowercase
Yeah.
u.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
Wow.
Take
They
it out.
were.
I'm sorry, we lost your place.
Oh,
Right?
it's 2A.
3A.
Well,
3A.
3A on
3A.
page 2.
Page 2A.
3A.
Sorry, 2A.
Page 2,
Fourth line,
fourth line
where it
down.
says consumption from 22, 23, and 24 came up with 99 CCFs.
It should be 99?
No,
No,
99.
It should be
94.
94
Okay.
94.
CCFs, but the period, remove the period, add the word for, F-O-R, and
Got it.
transpose
Put
it
those
from
sentences,
uppercase U to a lowercase u.
Very exciting
Got it.
stuff.
For you, got it. Thank you.
Bob, you have any nits?
No.
Peter,
No, all right.
they get your name right, please?
Yeah, it looks like it.
That's all I have to worry about. We're good.
All right, I have a
I don't even
motion.
look to see if they spelled my name right.
I'll make a motion.
Wait, wait.
That's all right. You can do it.
Oh, I thought
Did
you,
do it?
oh,
You were gonna do it?
I thought you had a change.
Let's argue about who's making the motion.
I
I'll
thought
make the
he had
motion. Peter, your second.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, meetings are adopted, minutes are adopted. That brings us to our annual fun, and the reason we have such a crowd tonight, the sewer user fee appeals. So as we announce each appeal, we'll ask the representative to the podium to introduce themselves and their address. If it feels like a relatively straightforward review, we may just start from there, or we may ask for a brief summary as we go through it. Everybody ready to start? Good? Got some notes? He's ready to start?
This is just on A.
Oh, that's exciting. So with that, I'll call 3A, 26 Pasture Lane, Jason and Patricia Mazingo. Looks like we have Patricia. Welcome back.
So this is my father-in-law lives there. He's 94. And so, I think I told you guys that last time.
Yeah.
But just when you look at, like, it's back down, this is for December, which you guys already know, I think.
I don't know December's, I know November's for.
So it's for, November, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
it for?
Decemberville with November reporting.
And
Yeah.
so why it jumps those 2 months before is because we turn the water off on the 4, and then it goes up to 107 because his helper, his nurse, turned the water back on. And we were gonna get it fixed. We didn't know. We should have got it fixed sooner, I'm sure. But when we realized it was running all the time and I got the bill, we got it fixed, and then the next 4 is because we got the stopper in.
Got it.
That was a toilet. Wow.
It was a toilet.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
1,440 minutes in a day.
Which I installed myself.
There's like a Broadway play about that, isn't
It was $4.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
there? Yeah.
They make a valve now that I guess it lowers your home insurance too. That when
Yeah.
it's a leak detector, it shuts the water off and notifies you on your phone. It's like $3,000 though. I don't know how much you save on homeowners, but if he's gonna be there by himself.
Of course, it's interesting
Yeah.
though, the tolerance of it too, right? Because the slow run
that
for
might
24
not-
hours might not. Yeah.
Was it leaking in November, December, January, February, March as well? Is that why those numbers were high?
The, the numbers were high because, yes, it was.
And then through
So the
to
leak, the
June,
leak was
July.
getting worse.
Wait, I have to
And
look.
then August, you turned off the water.
Yes.
That's why it went to 4.
Yeah.
You're very comfortable that it's now fixed?
Oh, yeah, it's fixed. And I had Aquarian come out, and they did a review of the outdoor of the property to make sure there wasn't any other leaks. And they came in and checked my job that I did on the toilet, and they told me it was fixed.
We had one other appeal where they were able to ask the water company for some sort of forgiveness on water, a leak
Yeah.
like this. So you might want to reach out to them. It'll
Oh.
save you quite a bit of money. It's
Okay.
expensive.
I know, I almost died when I saw the bill.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, well, that seems to be a reasonable explanation of the facts. Does anybody have a thought as to a motion?
Yeah. And I'll preface this with, we as a commission decided last month that going forward, we were going to do a 6-month grace period, followed by a 50-50 split after that.
I thought it was 3 to 6 months.
We did
Is
say
it really?
36.
Yeah, I think, okay. We're going to get into this discussion. 6 months, in my opinion, is too long, but go ahead.
Let's hear the motion.
Go ahead
Okay.
with your motion.
Well, it's, all right, so what I'm saying is, if you're looking at page 3 of 5, that chart,
Yes.
just because that's the one
360.
I say that the leak actually started in July. It was small for those 4 months there, July, August, September, October.
Yeah.
So I'm not willing to use those as the beginning
Yeah,
of the
there's
6-month grace period.
Single digits, it's hard to say. Yeah.
So if you start the 6-month grace period with November,
Yeah.
then the only 2 months that we do the 50-50 for this year are May and June.
Okay.
So, my other part of the calculation is just from looking at the numbers and kind of running the numbers that are on this chart, I came up with a monthly average of 4.
Okay. For the other 2 years. Yeah.
Well, just as somewhere to use,
Yep.
as some number to use.
I think that's reasonable.
So what I did was I took the 4, I annualized it,
Yeah.
come out with $360 for that.
Okay.
Then with the 31 and the 37,
Yep.
added them together, it's 68,
Yep.
minus 8 because you're paying for 4 a month with your $360.
Yep.
So you end up with,
60.
with 30, correct?
Yeah, you split it in half.
Yes, because you split it in half.
So you got 30.
30 times 750 is 225.
Okay.
The 225
It's
plus the
added.
360 is
Yeah.
585.
Okay. So you are making a motion to.
No, whoa,
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
not done here.
You're not done yet. Oh, sorry.
Because here comes the big rub.
Yeah.
Next year,
Yeah.
if we're staying with this policy,
Yeah.
next year, if you look at the 42, 4, 107, 103, which comes from, let's see, page 4 of 5, if you look at the water bill. What are we gonna do with that? I understand it's next year's bill, but
What can we
that
do?
won't come up. Can we say, yeah, we can kick the can down the road? Yes, I don't feel comfortable kicking the can down the road.
Okay. Can we do one at a time? We take the first action and then
Sure,
discuss the
I'm
second.
not, as long as we're gonna take action with both parts of it, I'm okay with doing it half and half.
So,
For right now, for the
interestingly-
23-24 amended bill, I would make it to the amount of $585.00.
But what's going to happen is that next year's bill would be based on November through March.
Right, and so.
It is, but the leakage is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it's not going to show any leak, November through March.
I understand that, that's why we need to deal with it now.
But see, my point is, if they had never come in, if they hadn't just paid the $18.90 and hadn't come in, we would never have, we might have seen it, but it wouldn't have been part of their bill, and we wouldn't have
Yeah.
addressed it next year.
I agree.
Yes, it's that it's that infamous statement that, you know, profits are private and losses are socialized.
Maybe. Yeah, that's
Well,
just hard to
Bob, why don't you
change.
figure out what the difference might be going forward next year that you want to
I
abate
think the
next year and
360.
take it off this bill?
Yeah.
No, I know what the
gotcha.
amount is for next year's,
Okay, what's the
for
old-
leakage down the drain.
What do you think the overage is for next year?
The amount going down the
Significant
drain,
with those two
it's
107.
$900,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's
Unless
at
we drop
50%.
November because of the drought.
Well, no, it's, we.
No,
Yeah.
we-
it's
with
down the drain.
So the,
Yeah, yeah, I
the
got
reality is, we don't even, so when the bills get done next year for residential service, we wouldn't even see these. Because we don't look at summer months to try to average out irrigation. I don't know, that's a leap for me. I understand completely what you're saying. It was water that went down the sewer.
How is it a leap?
Because our regulations say this is how you figure a residential bill.
I think when you come in to appeal your bill, you're under a whole different spectrum.
But we're,
Because we now
Yeah.
are looking at the 6-month grace period and then time after that, so it's a whole different, you're dealing with a whole different spectrum now.
yeah.
Well,
I don't see how you can ignore it.
What
well, I
happens if
think
they
that
sell
you'd
the
have to
house?
have that in writing.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
establish.
I'm not saying they pay for
For
it
the
now,
principal.
but I'm saying it has to be noted somewhere, because
Right, but if they were to sell the house, I don't see how we could charge a new homeowner for their putting water down the drain
Right.
in the prior year when they didn't own the house.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how you can do that.
again, so you're saying that the losses are socialized, and that everyone has to absorb them.
Yeah, I think every
so.
appeal works that way. To some degree, it's just where, what degree do you
Well,
find a balance? And I, you know, the appeal is for, you know, the bill that went out in October that was based on 12 months of water data, and we got the information we needed, which is, it's been fixed, we know it's been fixed, so how does the appeal work? And kind of calculated that consistent with our past actions at 585 instead of 1890. And then it goes to next year, and that bill's gonna get calculated the way it gets calculated. And if it shows nothing, it shows nothing. If it shows, they can come in with another appeal.
I mean, since we had nothing in writing to cover this,
Yeah,
then, I mean, the social contract is kind of set
yeah. That's where
until
I'm,
you change it.
yeah.
Otherwise, the whole thing will break down, or, you know, exceptions. Well, anyway,
Well, but
That's right.
the social contract is they're able to appeal.
well, they've appealed.
Yeah, and if we're making a decision, they're not gonna, like, are they gonna appeal our decision?
Well,
And if we're
I
going to talk
think the
about whether we
300
get 3 or 6 months grace, I'm voting for 3 months, because 6 months, they'd have to be repeat offenders.
Well, anyway, I came to 360.
Yeah, you came with the full down to 4. But I see Bob's logic at the 585, and that is consistent with an action we took last month. Reese, any thoughts?
That's a tough one. I could go either way.
In terms of, what do you mean by either way?
I could see something a lot less complicated.
Yeah.
Lower.
Yeah.
And I could also see Bob's logic at 585. I would support 585. It seems
For
reasonable.
this
I
year's
see
appeal.
Bob's point, but
Yeah,
I would support 585.
okay. Do you want to make a motion for this year's bill?
I did,
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to grant the
I'll
appeal
second it.
down to 585. Susan seconds the motion to 585. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. Raise your hand if you're in support of granting the appeal. Okay, your new bill is $585. These guys will talk to the tax assessor, and a new bill will be sent. You will pay the new bill.
Right,
And-
thank you. And I promise you, if I lived in the house, I would have known right away it was leaking, and he didn't realize it was leaking. It was just a big, and then he went to the hospital, that got lost, his aide turned the toilet back on. It was a big mess, and I'm sorry, it makes me throw up about how much water went wasted.
And I appreciate that backstory because I think it defines some extenuating circumstances which aren't always captured cleanly in a spreadsheet.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, we good? Move. It was good. I liked it. I saw it. I watched the logic. It was a good explanation. 3B, 179 Middlesex Road, Eugene and Elizabeth Luciana.
Wait a minute. Let's see here. I have a number.
Is this a relatively simple one, Bob?
Yes.
Okay, so please let us know your name and address for the record.
Elizabeth Luciana, 179 Middlesex Road.
Thank you very much. I think we have looked over your information, and you can answer questions if they come up.
So if you go to page 3B, 204,
Yes.
you have 18,4,553.
Yep.
We dropped the 18.
Yep.
We use the 4, 5, 5, and 3.
Yep.
Add them together, 17, annualize them, it's 51. Times it times $7.50, come out with $382.50 as an amended bill. I'll make a motion for $382.50.
I second it.
So is the only different, oh,
Go
go ahead and ask for more.
Yeah, so we have a first and a second.
Go ahead and go through the.
Any
more
discussion?
Yes. So you simply, instead of using Cindy's 5, you used a 4.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't substitute, I like to remove.
You took this out.
Yeah.
I'd rather not, I don't,
Okay.
I'm assuming she's got the 5 from the 2 years
Here's what I
previous.
think.
Yeah, that's
I
what
try not to do it that way.
You
Got it.
annualize the other.
Yes,
Take that
I think,
one.
I think up as low as 3 is a sufficient number of months to annualize.
All righty.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right, the appeal is granted. The new bill is $382.50. Will be sent a new bill by the tax assessor, and that's the one you should pay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much.
All right, 3C, 23 Georgian Lane, Michael and Carolyn Collins.
Good afternoon. Mike Collins, 23 Georgian Lane. So we moved to the house, we closed on the house at the end of April. We moved into it in July. Previously, we had lived at 11 William Street in Darien.
So if you go to 3C, 3 of 8,
Yes,
the numbers there are from their previous residence.
okay.
So if we use their numbers from the previous residence, the 6, 9, 10, 8, 7, annualize it, we come up with 96 times it times 750 per CCF, and we come up with a bill of $720 even.
Before you move, the use of 240 at 23 Georgian,
We don't have that. do we?
well, and it's also large,
It is. we do
right?
have-
Like, it implies that there's something else going on other than just usage.
From the bill.
Yes, sir.
Page 8 of 8 of 3C.
Yes.
See up at the top,
Yes,
calculation highlighted in yellow.
yes,
I believe that was the previous year from what Cindy did.
yeah. So the 240 that you're inheriting seems off. So I guess what I'm saying to you is this. There may be a leak. There may be a running toilet.
So there was a leak outside that we had fixed with the sprinkler on the.
Okay.
The sprinklers weren't working, but I
That could be
initially
it.
thought that could be it. I mean, it just surprises me that, because again, the bill is typically when they don't run the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Right, so it didn't.
And sometimes your November bill can capture October. So if there was a leak in the irrigation and it bled through to October, it could be affecting the bill.
Yeah.
But I guess my caution for you is now we're starting to collect data for next year's bill, November, December,
Yeah.
January. So you might want a plumber to just come in,
Okay.
check things in the house, just to make sure you don't have anything running.
Okay, no, certainly
October
appreciate
was 20 CCS, so you should definitely look.
Yeah, because even 20 is a little high.
At your house, at the house that you're living in now.
Okay.
And how many folks are living where you're living now?
3 young kids.
Yeah, well, okay, so 5, family of 5
It
is,
certainly could be with the wash and
yeah, you could use 20.
one bat of ice in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
way.
And if
Just
you
20
go
months.
from 8 to 11 to 20 and then down to 6, I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Could be less.
Yeah. It's at least in a range. The 240 was a little.
Happy to pay what it is, it just seemed.
Yeah.
you know,
Just
yeah.
your own information, you should go and check this out, because
Yeah.
your water bill will be too high, and next year your sewer bill will be.
Yeah, you pay for it coming and going, is what I like to say. Okay, Bob, do you have a motion?
Yeah, for an amended sewer bill of $720
Okay.
and 0
I have a
cents.
second.
Here.
Peter seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor of granting the appeal to $720, raise your hands. All right, the appeal is granted.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
4:51. Have a good day.
All right, we got 3D, which is 25 Point of Woods Road South, Donald Gorski. Is that you? No? Well,
He's not here to represent him.
Okay.
A little high.
You mind if I go out of
This
order
one-
then and
What's
deal with the
that?
person that's here? And then we'll come
That's
back.
fine, this one seemed to be
Pretty easy.
Oh, okay,
straightforward,
it's pretty
so.
easy, okay.
Yeah, if you go again to
Oh, wow.
3D 2 of 19, we see that December's number is quite skewed.
Stratospheric.
So, well, it's 6 inches of water in the basement.
Yeah, okay.
So in other words, so instead
It's
we
going out the
take
sump pump.
the 5, 5, 6, and 4, which is 20, annualize it to 60, and then times it times $7.50 per CCF, and we come up with $450 for an amended bill.
Me too.
And so does Cindy. So,
Yeah, she just did it differently, though. She
Okay.
she replaced a number with a number. I
you
prefer
don't like
not
to do that? That's fine. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Here.
Reese, I heard second, so Reese is going to get the second on that one. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, appeal granted to 450. 3E, 9 Musket Lane, Brian and Sally Sutton. All right, we have a winner.
Right.
Yeah, I got something here too. There, I got one here.
On Brian Sutton, 9 Musket Lane.
Okay.
4:51.
And water, yeah, okay. Okay, well, this is outside usage, that's, seems quite good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do.
so he was saying that he was watering. So into the first of the year. So to me, that carries over into the January reading.
Probably, because it's probably.
So what I would propose is we use February, March, April, the 788,
Sure.
annualize it, times it times 750, and come up with a new bill of $690.00.
Okay, do I have a second? Susan gets the second this time. Any further discussion? All those in favor? The appeal is granted to $690.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Everything's still alive?
Everything survived, the plantings?
Only one is like a little problem. Not bad out of whatever it was, 100 plants or something. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thanks.
All right. 5 Hale Lane, Jack and Mary Regan.
Yep. It's another easy one. If you go to 3F 2 of 6, you see that in March, there was a spike of 20 with a
Toilet.
issue with the toilet,
Now repaired.
which was repaired. So if we take the 2, 2, 2, and 4 and take it out, it becomes less than the minimum. So we take this down to the minimum of $291.43.
Okay, Cindy agrees. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
First and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, granted to the minimum. Let the record show that Mr. Hutchison is, what are you doing? Are you gonna leave the room or are you gonna talk to us? I don't know. You're the property owner, right?
He's the applicant.
One of them.
I think the photograph speaks for itself. We don't need your 1,000 words.
All right, Bob. See ya.
I've read the letter, and
we have any grammatical corrections on the letter?
No, there's a mathematical correction. Whoever multiplied 390 times $7.50 and came up with 2,950, and it's actually 2,925.
Savings. Thank you.
I do believe that this could not be any more straightforward. The water did not go down the drain, and if you look at the water usage after the repair, it might actually be lower than the previous year. So I think it's more than reasonable for the amended bill to use the water usage for the previous year of 390 CCFs
Okay.
at the new rate. So again, that would be 390 times $7.50 per CCF to come up with an amended bill of $2,025.00.
Do I have a second? Peter seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor of granting the appeal? That's 4.
And I'm recused.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm
Record show
president of the
that
Brook Street Association.
Commissioner Hutchison is not sitting.
Can I ask, is this usual to have this
Oh, no.
electrical conduit running?
That needs to get separated. Now, after seeing the picture, yeah, copper and,
I was like, is
That
this?
it might corrode.
That might be why it's so green there.
electrolysis.
There might be
Yeah,
some
right.
electrolysis, exactly.
I
BX is turning green.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see some electrical tape sneaking down there and doing something good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Easy.
Yep. Thank you.
Item number 4.
So get a mail a new bill.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Item number 4, you have 436 Mansfield Avenue, connection fee code of ordinance. What do you got, gents?
The email from Mr. Burrick has indicated that the sewer connection that he'd like is a developer's agreement, and he pointed out in our ordinance, 3A-2, no connection fee shall be required for owners of lots which lots were served by public sanitary sewer installed by a developer that extended the sewer.
Okay.
Number one, it seems like that he doesn't have to, he shouldn't be charged a connection fee. I just didn't know if that was the intent of the commission.
No connection fee shall be required.
No, I didn't know that this statute existed. I would have asked for it to be stricken,
Stricken,
ripped out,
removed.
removed.
It seems like it needs to be removed in light of the new.
It's in total contrast of
Contradictory to
contradiction,
the-
sorry,
yeah.
of what we
Have agreed.
So
Does
we would
it
like
exist?
to discuss a
painstakingly
potential,
went through.
so we would like to discuss potential modification of our regulations when we're discussing potential modifications of our regulations next.
Yeah, what
But
would you
it-
like it to
But
say?
the statute exists now.
Yeah, it's there. I have to abide by it. Now, so far, it's the only property that's come forward, and I don't know how many more we'll find, but they
And
appear to be rare.
And as far as we know, he wants to connect into a line that was put in by a developer?
That's our understanding, yes.
Does he have to make a deal
Well-
with the developer or
Yeah,
buy the
there's-
developer's
There's
agreement?
a
Yeah, it's an
there's a
assessment
fee
that
he has to pay.
Yeah.
To the developer?
$15,800.
Yep.
But no other fees according to that statute,
Correct.
or whatever statute.
Well, I think the intent of, or at least where it sounds like the consensus of the commission is that the $750 or future amount per bedroom connection fee shall be in addition to any other fees or dues or assessments that would apply.
Absolutely.
That was more when you had an existing home, you were adding to it, right? In concept, not creating a new house or hooking it up
Well,
to.
it would be, technically it would be both. If there happened to be a subdivided lot on a public sewer main and they proposed a 4-bedroom house and there was no house there before,
Yeah, plus
under our current
Yeah.
guidelines, they'd pay a $3,000 connection fee.
Yeah.
Or if they're abandoning their septic, which might be what they're doing here.
Is there an
No, it's definitely
existing,
what
is
they're
there an
doing.
existing home here that's getting
Probably.
recycled?
Those are those big ones across from Reynolds, remember Reynolds Farm? Or not Reynolds Farm,
Kelly
That's
Nursery?
Tower Drive, yeah.
Was it Kelly Nursery?
Kelly Nurseries, yeah, Reynolds Farm.
Okay.
So
So is that enough guidance for getting
could
that
you
stuff in the
kinda
future?
just recap that? I'm sorry, I caught parts of
Sure.
it.
Well, I didn't give you the actual words. I gave you the intent.
Intent, okay.
Is that the sewer connection fees would be in addition to any assessment, developer's fee, and is not waived. That's the intent.
So this fee would be $750 times the number of bedrooms proposed.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still connecting to the sewer system, they're just using the developer's agreement as a conduit to get there.
Yeah, I appreciate that logic.
So there is no exception for the connection fees?
Pretty much, yeah. That would be it.
Is that correct,
They would- they
at
would-
$15,800 it pays?
But in that case, then
Yeah, that
this
would-
language
if
wouldn't be
it-
contradictory at all.
I'm not, I have no information relative to the developer's fee, but
This
I
could be
assume
true
that
and
Anthony's
one-
right when he said that.
Fee can be true at the same time.
But that,
We could clean it
So
up.
are they building it?
How is that, I believe this has.
I think they're doing an
This is
addition.
in here,
this house is already connected, and I think they're doing an addition. Is that what I'm guessing?
this has to be removed.
What has to be removed?
No, I'm saying
The language.
The language, yes, I'm talking, sorry.
So at some point in the coming months,
Yes.
e.g. sump pumps, we're gonna be changing our regs. So we'll just stack this in the
Clean it up.
In the queue.
things that we are going to be changing at that time. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on item number 4? Item number 5. That's a good foreshadowing there. Sump pump removal policy.
Motion.
No distraction.
Oh, I didn't bring my old tool. Oh, here we go.
You're what?
It's cleaner and cleaner.
Yeah, this one actually,
Flow chart's looking good.
This doesn't have it.
Let me just go through it one time. I've gone through it 3 times. Doesn't hurt to go through again. Yeah, that was the one. Visible route. Can you see? No.
the visible route.
Visible portions of. Yeah, I might
Or
say.
visible portions of the route, okay.
Yeah. Visible around the sump pump discharge must be documented. So yeah, visible portions of the route. So I want to add 3 words to that one. Do you know where I am?
Yeah, you're the.
Well, I'm asking
You're to the
these guys.
left of the top plus sign.
Do you guys know where I am? Ed and Darren.
About 15 feet in front of us?
Yeah.
Up high?
So this is the question I had
6
emailed
inches
to you a little bit ago, which is, can you see the discharge of the sump pump? If the answer is no, my question was, well, how are we going to take pictures of it? And the explanation at the last meeting was, well, maybe there are portions that are visible, and any visible portions of the route should be photoed, even if the discharge is not visible.
And that's
So-
what it says now, right?
Yes, and I just want to add 3 words. Right now, it's after the word visible, I want to add the words portions of the.
Visible portions of the route of the sump pump,
Yeah,
parentheses, S pumps.
Yeah, in case there's more than one.
Yep. Got it.
And then in the very top box in the middle, maybe add town system to the town system underneath it as a,
Say that
it
again.
just
now.
says discharge to the,
oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
some words
and
missing.
maybe town system.
Yeah.
That might actually be there.
It's-
Yeah.
I don't want him to get blamed for
Big
it.
enough.
Yeah, no, it was there.
Yeah, you have to make the
You have
boxes
to make the
bigger.
box bigger to see everything.
You can
that's
see the
in it.
lines are
Okay,
not
so
correct.
just correct the graphic error.
Yeah, I believe it says to the,
Here, I
well,
have-
it should say sanitary sewer, just say but
Yeah.
saying town sanitary,
Sewer, yeah.
town sanitary sewer system, I guess we have to dot our i's and cross our t's and
Okay.
put
It
the
says,
little
it
line in the
said,
middle of the Z too.
discharge to the sanitary sewer. I
Oh,
have
there
the
you go.
old one.
Yes, but I'm, now maybe we need to say,
That was my fault.
yeah,
When you check out this one, can you see the discharge of the sump pump?
Yes.
Visible route
think you're
of the
better
sump
off
pump
being-
discharge must be
being
documented.
the long
Well, how do you
description,
know it's
unfortunately.
not
That's what we,
discharging?
that's what we just talked about, and that was our comment last month. So
Right.
what we're saying is
That was
any
why I
any
sent
visible
this out,
portions,
because I knew,
you know, so maybe the discharge isn't
Right.
visible, but there's other things, you can see the
I
pipe
had
going out of the
little
house kind of
Post-its
thing,
on
yeah.
the whiteboard, and I was moving them around, and
Here's some pump.
First
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Our astute office administrator picked out a typo.
Oh, okay.
what?
It's not against the law to discharge
Oh,
into a storm sewer.
you're missing an R, okay.
Okay, just a correction.
It's not
Yeah,
illegal to
I type
discharge
with
into
two
a storm
fingers, so I
sewer.
It
can
is.
think faster than
It
I can
is.
type.
It is, we can do that, yeah.
I'm with you.
You can take your sump pump to a storm sewer if you've got permission to do so.
Yeah, okay. Chip that condition.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Ed's got to put his different hat on that to approve the sump pump connections to the storm sewers.
Or Jeremy.
All right.
Or Jeremy, or Rick, or there's all sorts of people. Yeah.
I thought it was
They're
either-
lining
If it's a town-owned system,
Either,
it's that guy right there. And he's going to have the interests of the sewer commission at heart, which is good that he wears both hats.
But
He
then,
doesn't have to argue with himself.
but then you have to make sure there's
I
no,
argue with myself all the
So
time.
is it reasonable to ask that each photo be labeled with the property address and the name
Yeah.
of the photographer?
yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Just,
But in order to get approval to put a
fake
storm,
IAI stuff
and
could be.
you have to analyze
yeah,
the
it's
water?
missing it on one.
Potentially, yes.
Name of photographer.
Okay.
I mean, if it's going to a city sewer and it's not going to hurt any neighbors or cause an environmental problem, I think, and Ed can fill me in here.
Storm sewer.
In my mind, and I imagine Ed's mind, is it's better to have the water there
Yeah,
than in the sanitary sewer. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, if it has to bubble out of a catch basin in a heavy rainstorm, that's fine, because it's not in the sanitary sewer, in terms of triaging issues. So we are comfortable with the flow chart. We are comfortable with starting this process when you are ready to start this process. The question is, what steps do we need to take from here, either on the commission side or the administration side, to initiate?
We're gonna have to run this by town attorney.
Yeah.
First selectman has to be
Yeah.
updated on this.
Yeah.
If not the whole board of selectmen, I'm not sure how he'll want
Yeah, well, let's go to
They're
John
gonna
first.
catch some grief, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree, it needs to be done transparently, and with everybody buying in. Because invariably, there will be cases that
Yeah.
people will complain about and are hard to solve. Yeah.
Well, and we give them a place to send them, which is once a month, we have a meeting here.
Yeah.
do you have to get
And
any
I'll do what
other,
I do with the appeals, vet them before they get in front of you.
do you have to get any other departments to sign off? Building?
I think you knew. What I don't think I need any other. To get
you're gonna send-
through this process,
Yeah.
right? To accumulate the data, to see who has, who doesn't have, and what needs to be done, I don't think I need another department. I think though, when they go to resolve some of the connections,
There may be plenty of
that is
departments
gonna be
involved.
plenty, they're gonna
Yeah.
have plenty of different departments that are gonna want their hands on it.
Yeah. So, your next steps are town attorney and first selectman.
Correct.
And
Right.
I'll ask for a round of comments in a sec, but we're all generally excited about him being able to do that. Yep.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Any further comments, Bob? as we-
Did we define qualified individual? I know we kicked it around, but I think we need to define it.
Yeah, so this is, if it's not obvious and you're unsure, we say you need to go to a qualified individual. Now, I know initially we had qualified individual as the threshold for all affidavits, but at your suggestion, which was adopted, we said, no, if it's smart and easy and you know it, like, you should be able to say so. But in the two sections where it says we're unsure, where the owner doesn't know, it says qualified individual. So who do we think that qualified individual should be? Plumber?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Engineer.
Engineer?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe the sump pump people.
Sorry.
I'll meet you in the parking lot after.
Both my sons are engineers, so.
What about the sump pump people? They may not be engineers, but they're certainly qualified.
Yeah, like where do we go on the scope of the contractor list, basically, after that? You know, what I was looking for was a licensed individual that is not gonna, that has applicable knowledge, that, you know, is gonna operate within certain ethical bounds. Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Licensed water individual,
Well, what's your
Such a
license?
thing?
wastewater, and I have 3 wastewater and a potable water. I can run the well,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, or we
Water
say,
related?
like a plumber, engineer, or other qualified individual acceptable to the Department of Public Works, the Commissioner of Public Works, whatever.
I think that's a viable
Yeah.
first step. I mean, I have no problem vetting the people. We've asked them for their information.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not done by here's your qualified individual, ask for the information on the form.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be able to vet that.
I mean, you
If
could
we
have
don't know who it is.
We could have
Yeah.
latitude on that, Craig. without-
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with latitude, I just wanted to, I thought we needed to somewhat define it.
Okay, so like a licensed plumber, licensed engineer, or other
Musk
qualified.
is a rocket engineer, but he knows how to make them.
Yeah.
Didn't even finish college.
I mean, would you consider a contractor
Yeah.
such as Reese? He's not licensed to anybody. He's built plenty of houses, been in plenty of basements.
Yeah,
Would
exactly.
I consider him a qualified individual? Absolutely.
Yeah. Renaissance man.
Day
really.
by day.
Okay, so that gives you, any further comments, Bob?
No,
Peter, any further comments?
not on this part.
Susan? Reese, any further comments?
Move
Okay.
forward, move forward.
You've got our support.
I think we may be the,
Do we have the, you didn't include, did you include?
What we don't know is,
Did you, you didn't
We
include
have
the
mountains of what we
affidavit
don't
that I
know.
made?
You don't have that?
taking action.
It's not in the packet.
No, is
Sorry.
that gonna be acceptable? Because I would think that needs to go to the attorney too.
That's what's gonna be going to the attorney.
But
Along with-
did we?
Along with
okay-
the flow chart.
We
Yeah.
okayed the affidavit as a commission?
Yeah.
Not that I've been here last month, because I wasn't. This is the updated version from
I mean,
the,
whatever they hammer out, they're
Comments.
gonna tweak it.
They're gonna,
It doesn't
Make it
matter, as long as
longer.
we get
yeah, we'll see it again after
Okay.
it goes to
If
the
it
town
isn't
attorney.
perfect, we can
you know
do it
what?
next year.
I'll send it out to you guys in an email after the meeting.
Perfect.
If you'll have it, at least take a look at it. If there's something that jumps off, you let me know
Okay.
before I send it to Wayne.
Okay,
All right.
I doubt there will be, but just,
Item number 6, your budgeting. In addition to standing out in the cold all night, you are budgeting.
That's what I was doing out there.
You want to walk us through?
I gave you my version of it with the nice notes and stuff on the right-hand side. So, this time I counted, of all the budgets I do, I have over 111 line items to go through, so I can't possibly remember all of them all. So this is very helpful. Let's see. As you can see, we'll start up at the top, sewer administration. Salaries are first line, that shows an increase. The 25% jump that you noticed is $500 on a small item, and so the percentage kind of seems a little bit more drastic than it really is. It's just a placeholder for overtime. Every once in a while, I'll have Anthony Tacone come in early to pull maps and stuff so we could do markouts when they start to get backed up. And I have 2 days to get them done, unless they're large ones, but for the most part, it's more volume than it is length on some of these. I reduced some of the clerical help number. don't know if there's anything that sticks out to you. I did a
Well, the big
3%
The rain
increase on
gauges.
I'm sorry?
The rain gauges.
Well,
Are
keep the
you,
rain
are
gauges.
you, is it getting less expensive, or are you getting rid of one?
That includes the rain gauges and the engineering consultant. I reduced some of my
Consulting fee.
fund, if you will.
Okay.
I have just some money in there in case I have to hire a consultant. I just reduced that number to bring our budget down a little bit, that's all. Because I hadn't been using it.
Okay, last year the rain gauges were changed to add 2,800, and this year you're.
I had
taking
kept
out.
the fund for the consultant up, and I
Okay.
raised the gauges. Now I kept the gauges and I dropped the fund a little
Okay,
bit.
I love the rain gauges.
And
The
we're keeping-
electricity jumps around quite a bit in price going back years.
Where are we now? We jumped down? Did we move down already?
Oh, stay where you are. I'm
Okay.
just-
Anything up in the administrative
First third.
report? Any questions in the
third.
first section?
Going once, going twice.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the second third.
Yeah. Did you see-
How much did it rain on Thanksgiving?
Oh,
.2.
while we're
Not a
there,
lot.
just a quick question. When you're saying software maintenance and support, that would be the line item that we might need to increase if we were to say we wanted to drop November for next year's bill from what is it? It's not-
InfoSys?
InfoServe, Info.
No, that is the tax collector's GEMS software. We pay a portion of that.
Okay, so that isn't the one I'm talking about.
No, up above that, the water use data, that's
Okay.
where we get hit. So we pay $2,100 a month for their services. There's usually a little extra bill in there if I ask them to do something different. They usually charge us in that line item.
Okay,
You want that job, Susan?
CompuTel. That's it, CompuTel.
I'm going to volunteer for the job of collecting the affidavits and creating a database.
Wow.
If you don't have someone in mind.
Well,
Well, we're trying to.
I'm pretty sure I can do
Hopefully we'll
that.
find someone in mind.
Especially if you can export anything to an Excel spreadsheet.
All
I
right,
can
any
pull it into a database.
further comments on the sewer administration budgets?
well, you wanted to ask about electric? They did hit us with a small increase on the distribution and supply lines.
But it was just-
But I had already been above my usage in my budget number, so I didn't have to bump it up as much.
We're getting the town co-op price on that though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, when you look back 5 years, 6 years, it's how it's jumped a bit here and there.
It's
A low of 97, a high of 130. That's 30% difference. Is that just rain?
just rain.
Wow. Then why didn't we see a
Because
reduction?
the numbers, it's 2 years ago, it actually dropped down. The electric charges actually were lower for
Okay.
distribution. Now they're catching back up
Yeah,
again.
So both,
yep, okay.
Couldn't we use
The rate
hydropower?
and the use.
because we got so much rain.
And
Time to slam some solar.
the only other topic is the third one down. You'll see the payments to the city of Stamford.
Yes, that's the one.
I did get their invoice late last week. I did not want to torment myself over the holiday weekend, so I did not open it. And I submitted my budgets yesterday, and I was a little busy today, and I was busy yesterday, so tomorrow morning, my first thing is open up the invoice and review it. So it's on my calendar to do. But I can actually go back into my submitted budget, which I did the sewer budget. I can go back in and make any changes to it. And that's probably the only item I may or may not make changes to based on what that invoice tells me. So, but I had a deadline of getting my budget in today for parking, sewer, and for the general fund.
Well, boy, you've really given us a cliffhanger for next meeting.
Are we
Yeah.
going to see any reduction because the flows are reduced because of the rain not being a problem?
Theoretically.
Well, the flows actually went up
Yeah, they did.
last year to July 1st. That's what we use. They use that percentage. Next year's invoice will
We'll
come
see.
around, we should see a reduction. As long as we don't get hit with rain in February, March, and April again.
For
like
two
we did this
reasons.
past
One,
year.
we should be reaping some of the rewards of our efforts, one. And two, it helps when it doesn't rain for 7 weeks straight.
Yeah.
I will tell you, we reaped those rewards the other night when we had to shut down that pump station.
Yeah, that there just wasn't a lot of.
There just
baseball
wasn't
system.
anything coming through.
Yeah,
We were able to keep it up with 6 trucks at the near water pump station.
which is insane
It's unheard of,
on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And then just the last section, so you know, that is something that Jennifer works with me She just hasn't gotten me those numbers yet, so as you see, I really didn't change anything. Everything in yellow, it just carried over from last year. And they'll fluctuate a little bit, especially since we had lost 2 employees. You're gonna see that the new employees are gonna bring in less of a hit to our benefit section,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah. And there's a couple of months that we weren't paying salaries while we were trying to fill the positions
Yeah,
and things like
so
that. Yeah.
this year's budget, I'm gonna have an excess in that salary line items
Yeah.
and the benefit line items.
Yeah.
So, to go back into the reserve. It's not a
So
whole
this
lot,
is-
but it's something.
Yeah, this is the best version of the budget you can do 7 months ahead of time.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
If anybody wants to give me insight on commodities, I am all
Yeah,
ears.
exactly. All right, we're on to fund number 7, Superintendent's Report.
All right, so we had our meeting this morning. I'm missing days here, I'm sorry. We had just meeting this afternoon to go over this, so we had an update for you folks. We are so close to wrapping a lot of this stuff up right now. We just have some small punch list items, as far as like rebuilding benches, chimney seals, there's like 1 or 2 of each of those. Manhole epoxy line is probably the biggest item, and we're halfway complete. We have 8 of the 16 done, we have 8 more, and they're scheduled for next week and possibly the week after. And we did have some work going on today for manhole lining out in the Renshaw Field area,
Again,
and some minor repairs have to come, so
you had nice, warm, dry weather for 2 months, had to help getting a lot of this punch list stuff done.
right now, we're still, as I say, reaping the benefits of
Yeah.
that
Low
good
flow.
weather and the work that's been done so far.
Yeah.
Do I have the other piece in here?
We were,
No. Phase 3,
Oh, okay.
I have the agreement sitting on my desk, and I intend on finishing reviewing it tomorrow, signing it,
Oh.
sending it forward.
even better.
Okay?
I'm excited for that.
I told them that you would be.
Yeah, you can throw me under the bus, use me as a bad guy.
No, Lindsay does it every time. I know Craig wants to get this started. I said, no, all 5 of them would like to get it started.
Yeah.
Craig is more vocal of the 5. Locust Hill?
Locust Hill, we did hear back from them. I don't think that's included in this email.
Well,
I
and the
think
work
we,
that we did, and the lack of rain. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think we heard back from them after this was sent out. But the engineer did reach out to us and asked us some important questions like how many houses can connect, what are we looking for? And I don't see it in this email, so I'm pretty sure that this went out before we spoke to them. And what we told them is we're looking for 2 things. One is their capacity in the lateral that exists for 2 houses to connect to it. And 2 is their capacity for the sewer main where you are adding an additional house to the entire line, which I think is a 2-inch. But since then, I haven't heard back from them, but we have had contact for the first time after repeatedly trying to contact them, so it's encouraging.
All right, so we'll hear more about that next month.
Midbrook?
16 Midbrook, I think that's just left on there, there's nothing new to report. We concrete encased that connection, we're waiting for an as-built, that's what we reported last month. Okay, thank you.
8 Outlook.
8 Outlook, I don't think there's anything new to report there. That's the sump pump, it's still under construction, they unplugged it.
Okay.
Personnel items, we are in the process of interviewing for the Penny's position.
Okay.
That's set up for Thursday.
Did we
and
ever
we're
settle on a 4 or a 5?
They settled on a 4.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
John Bacuzzi's position, I'm working with Susan on filling that, and I'm hopeful to get that done in the next week or 2.
Okay. Well, that sounds encouraging.
Yep. Hopefully by the new year, we'll be back up to fully staffed.
And we have an amazing graph.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, at the last meeting, Commissioner Hill said, hey, it would be really cool to have the previous October, based on the low rain flows that we've been having, and we reported how nice our pump stations were running, how low the flows were. I could do the whole month of October, but it turns out if you look at how much data in the following pages,
Yeah,
that's just a week, so it'll give you a flavor.
no, and it's
But
always,
you're going from, you know, what, roughly an average of 70,000 gallons per hour to roughly an average of 30,000 gallons per hour. Just like 40,000 gallons per hour less, that's 1 million gallons a day less flow.
And I looked up the
and
rate.
that's all unaccounted for water that normally we send there. Because you
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
our overall year
It's like-
amount of water, I want to say 46% is from Aquarian
Yeah.
and 54% is from unknown sources.
So, yeah, we send about 800 million to Stanford, and 400 million is what we should be based on the water use.
So this goes right along with
$1
those.
million a day, or 1 million gallons a day for a
Yep.
month, 30 million gallons of
The water use
I&I.
isn't all going down the drain.
I looked up the
Well,
rain,
yeah,
the
you
rainfall.
do get it.
Well,
It didn't change. In 2024, for that period, it was 0.1 inches of rain, and in 2023, it was 0.2 inches of rain.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So the rain wasn't all that different?
Rain did not impact these numbers.
Did you look back?
Yep.
Like a week or two to see if there was any rain, heavy, or?
I did not go back a week or
Yeah.
two, because I just simply took
'Cause this
your
could be-
dates, but I could do that.
It could
Just
be,
see how saturated the
I'm
soil
really
is.
good, getting good
I
with
mean,
it.
this is from our
groundwater
rehab,
level.
that's,
Yeah,
which could build up from, which could build up
I'll look at it.
for months.
I will look at that.
if this is from our rehab, it's even
Yeah.
better.
Well, the 0.1 was on
Fingers
October
crossed,
2nd
Bob.
in
Fingers
2024,
crossed.
and
If it
0.2
Yeah.
one of
was
the
in the other
things we're
part.
probably gonna
It's only
have,
5 days.
Stanford's
5
gonna
days.
say, gee.
And we thought we were gonna get
yeah,
more money from you this
we're
year.
gonna have to adjust rates a little.
No, because they have a
Shit.
bottom number.
They do have a bottom number.
Do they?
Yep, 12
Bob will
and a
never forget about the bottom number.
half. Sorry.
Good.
I would like to add
Good.
to the superintendent's report, item G.
So let me see if it's the same thing I just wrote down.
Okay,
Near water pump station
Got it.
force main repair.
Yes.
okay.
Bob.
Darren's gonna take us through that.
All right.
Oh, seriously?
You drew the straw, huh?
Wow.
We got a call at 11:30 in the morning on Sunday. There was a report of a water leak at Weed Beach. The police contacted the Parks and Rec Department, said you're gonna need some salt down here in case it gets cold. Parks and Rec foreman went to the site, and his olfactory glands immediately told him it wasn't water and contacted us. We mobilized immediately and hired a good contractor who we've used before in similar situations, AJ
I want
Penna.
to stop there. So when you say we mobilize,
Yeah.
exactly what does that mean?
Okay, exactly what does that mean? Anthony Campanella
Yeah,
received a phone call from Sandy Rich of Parks and Rec.
yeah,
Anthony called me
yeah.
and told me he would be there in 5 minutes and that he would get back to me. And as soon as he did get back to me, he said, oh yeah, it's sewer. We agreed AJ Penna would be our date to the prom for this again. And that's what we did. And then, of course, Anthony informed Ed right away. And Ed began directing other aspects of this repair, keeping the first selectman informed, authorizing us to hire vac trucks that we knew we would need. Ed also called in our public works forces to immediately mobilize our Vector truck to bring down loaders and trucks and immediately contain the spill. That was immediately what Ed did. We trucked in dirt from our facility, our public works facility, and created berms to contain it. Also within the first 2 hours, we started our 2-hour DEEP bypass reporting form. which we're going to close the 5-day hopefully tomorrow. But everybody was notified within the first 2 hours. The form looked a little different to us. It was just Steve and I in the beginning. Steve Toscano, our superintendent of, foreman of sewers. And we were working from the plant on site. The form looked a little different, so I personally called Bill Brink in Stanford, Minnie Chambrelli at the Health Department, and the Department of Aquaculture, Alyssa Dragan, and let them know to make sure that they were notified, because the system is such that you press save and the screen goes blank, and you don't know if you were successful or not, if you clicked all the right boxes. So we left messages. Our initial reports were much worse than it actually was, because, as I just stated, once Ed got involved, we mobilized and set up dirt berms. So based on our initial report, the clam beds were closed. They would do that as a precaution anyway. The next day at sunrise, they opened the clam beds. And we were apprised of that. So, and I think that was the right call. There was, if any sewage made it into Long Island Sound, it was minimal. And that would be via direct connection under the catch basins, and tomorrow we're going to estimate that amount. But initially we estimated 3,000 gallons an hour, someplace in there, like 50 gallons a minute, and that was accurate, but it was also contained. In a gravel parking lot.
To surface, not to downstream, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we meant by mobilizing.
Yeah.
Around 2:00 a.m. on Monday, the leak was stopped. As Ed mentioned earlier, the foreman from AJ Penna was able to reach underneath the pipe through the sewage, and he found the holes in the pipe. And we, of course, did not know what we were doing or what we were up against until we got there. The 2 holes that we found were not at all far from a 45-degree bend. And that 45-degree bend had a big thrust block with concrete. And there was, a 24-inch vitrified clay pipe over the top of the bend. So as bad as it was for us to repair, we were very, very lucky. If it had been that bend, we would have been taking the drainage system apart. We have no means to bypass the existing pipe. So the only option we had was to do what we did, which is bring in a convoy of trucks, Vector truck. Oh, I should mention that part of our mobilization process was speaking to the city of Stamford about where could we dump sewage there. They were very helpful. Their sewer foreman met with us at the Cove Park. They opened a manhole for us in a wide open area. It's right over the town line. We did not feel that the Brookside pump station would handle it. Our sewer foreman, again, Steve Toscano, told us that no way would it be able to handle truck after truck just dumping into that. So it was very helpful to go to a very large pipe in the Stanford system that was still close to our system. The largest Vector truck that we had was a sight to see. It was a tractor trailer, an actual tractor trailer, and it's about the size of an oil tanker or one of those trucks that you see that carry swimming pool water. And that's how we did it. And in addition to that, it took us a long time to get our arms around what actually was happening. We would dig, and when the pump, we couldn't hold the pumps off during the day. The flow was just too much for the Vector trucks to handle. So we would turn the pumps on, everybody out of the hole, and we mobilized our very large pump into this parking lot area which was bermed off, and had the Vector trucks taking water out of that area. So that area was also being maintained as far as the sewage level in that temporary storage area. But when we did that, we got rid of everything in the wet well in the near water pump station. And when that happened, we were able to see, as we dug, oh, the water's coming from over here. You know, it wasn't necessarily what was breaking the ground. As we dug, we
Had to follow it.
followed it, and that's how we found the pipe. I mean, there was really no other way for us to find the pipe. We have maps, but you know, the as-built map is, we don't know. I mean, you're digging in water,
It could be
in
that
sewage.
side of the conference room table to that side, and you're nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we found it, and finally, there was a big question about whether we would have to replace a section of pipe or not. And initially, they thought there was a crack under the pipe. We would have been there for a good part of the next day, maybe into the next night, because the flows would have picked up, and we wouldn't have been able to operate. Ed wanted us to wait until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and the flows got down to the point where we could handle those flows with the vac trucks strategically located. We set up 3 different points, one at the pump station, one out in Nearwater Lane, one in the grass area, so that no Vector truck was waiting. They all had access to a point where they could suck the sewage out and get on the road on their way to Stanford and come back and start over. I'm going to say at 1 o'clock in the morning, we were able to accomplish that. And thankfully, it turned out that the repair involved a band clamp around a 20-inch ductile iron pipe. It was scraped down clean, and we told them, take your time. Up until that point, every half hour, get out of the hole, and then it took us 10 minutes to pump down and then start working again. But around 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, we were able to give them as much time as they needed with our setup with the Vector trucks. Thankfully, they didn't need much time. We literally, at one point, were in the sewer pump station and watched the wet well not fill up because we did not allow a drop of sewage to get into it. Now, I feel very proud of us for doing that, and I say with a little bit of bravado, but to be clear, it was about timing and luck, because we could not have done that during the day.
Yeah, 2 o'clock in the morning, and after 2 dry months, and.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then after that, we continued to, the leak we had under control. We turned the pumps on, we tested it, and then let's go get some process aggregate and work our way up, compact as you go.
Yes, sir.
Nobody called 911 from a town phone, correct?
Not in this room.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
All right. So we worked our way up with the process aggregate. At 7 o'clock in the morning, a different crew came and paved. The vac trucks went home a little bit after 4 a.m. And cleanup continues even till now. I believe from speaking, Ed and I hadn't discussed this, but I understand that from talking to our guys that Ed has directed them to go down with the sweeper. And we're looking at ways to, the other thing is the lagoon was all coned off. We're looking at ways to clean up the lagoon too, and disinfect that area to, I don't think we have to worry about swimmers, but that area is obviously off limits to the public for now. Then eventually we'll just take our berms away, and clean up.
Well, nothing short of amazing, really. And thank you both, and thank everybody that was involved on behalf of the town for executing that. It was like 4 stars.
I think
Thank you.
Between Steve and Darren, Anthony and Andy, the 4 of them, when I showed up there, they had a lot of things in motion already. And it's really, really hard when you come across something like this that you feared from the day you started working here, to the point where it's coming up out of the ground. We all know the worst thing you could possibly do is
I
dig.
can't imagine the pit in your stomach while you're sitting there not knowing what the answer is.
I was crafting my resignation letter. I wasn't sure what kind of letter I had to put it on, because it could go really, really bad in a really, really quick amount of time.
Yeah.
These guys had stuff going, so when showing up there, it was me, it was just, hurting things to do it. And that parking lot was, I couldn't have asked for a better place
For it to even happen.
to create that, because half of it, or 2/3 of it was already built for me.
Yeah.
The material was already there, so I didn't have to move it very far
Yeah,
after I brought some loads in.
Yeah.
I could enhance it with the loader. We drove right out in the lagoon and made it bigger when it started to fill up a little bit more, because we dug, which means more flow was coming out when the pumps went on. All those things started to trigger. These guys were timing things, to see when we could do this. And that started at 5 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock. Before you knew it, it was 11:30, and we're down to the pipe. We're starting to see what was in our way. But we had not one guy complained, not one guy bellyached he had to go home. The companies, One Vac, McVac, AJ Penna, the city of Stanford, not one issue with it. They all, stepped up when we needed the help, and I think that speaks volumes, for our town, the people we hire, the contracts we work with, and even the city of Stanford. Didn't even blink an eye. We have cleaned up a little bit down there. I think Darren maybe doesn't know a whole lot of what we're doing now, but we're gonna sweep, but that's more for after. We're gonna wash down those driveways to the catch basins, and we're gonna suck the catch basins out before the water leaves. So that's gonna be our catch-all. So the driveway will be clean. We're gonna salt it again. After we sweep up the previous salt, we'll put another load of salt down too. That parking lot, we're gonna treat it with lime. We did the same thing with this field out here after we had the blowout and the overflow. And they used it for soccer 2 weeks later, after they cleaned up the park. So we're gonna do that in that parking lot. Can leave it coned off until we get a decent rain. And we've already spoken with the Parks and Rec director and the foreman. So we're gonna get a little help with their equipment too, to do some spreading. So,
Any sense of why the pipe deteriorated where it did?
well, before we put that band on it and we had opened up, our equipment or pipe action, but I consider Brian Fransport, our mechanic here in town, to be knowledgeable in a lot of different things, especially welding, where he has to look at pipe and ductile iron welding and the condition of it. So before he put the band on it, before I'll approve this, I said, have at it. Jumped in the hole, took some pictures of it, ran his hand on. It starts to have some pitting at the bottom where you would see it maybe sitting in salt water or some groundwater or something. And that pipe was exposed to something in that area where it deteriorated faster than others. Am I concerned that other areas have the same condition? Absolutely. Which is why at our meeting with Arcades today, we talked about what we can do to that pipe, possibly lining it. Any particular types of liners that can do the 45 degree, and there are some. So we have some videos we got about an hour ago. I was looking at some type of material too. And looking at this, it may not be a structural fix. It may be a liner that gives you longevity. But if you park a truck on top of that ductile iron pipe, probably won't hold it. But this pipe is 9 feet deep in the ground.
Yeah,
So
you're not getting that pressure on that pipe.
Correct. So I have some latitude there too, but looking at doing something sooner rather than later with the flows that we are enjoying right now.
Interesting, yeah.
So we're looking to get some prices from the people that did our our last lining here. The company, I understand, is from, what do you say, Missouri?
Minnesota or Missouri, one of them. Michigan.
They fly in with equipment and stuff that do this force main lining.
And would the bypass be the same operation?
That was, it's all comes to timing now, right? I may have to do a wet tap on both ends to put a bypass in.
Yep.
To do it at low flows, bypass with one pump or something.
And cut in a valve.
It was amazing to see at 5, 6 o'clock, there was no chance of us shutting that pump station down, even with the trucks that we had, and we had 8 of them.
Yeah.
But at 12 o'clock, you can see the flows were in half, so it went 1.1 million gallons a day
Yeah.
to just over 4.
Yeah.
And then it continued to drop too, as we could, that's why Darren said it wasn't a drop in that wet well while we were doing this work at 2 o'clock in the morning. These trucks were rotating in and out.
Yeah.
We had 4 of them backed up to that manhole right by the pump station before it goes into the wet well.
Yeah.
And we had the tanker truck on near water just waiting to get started. Never had to use them.
Yeah.
But it's,
And 3, dumping at the same time in Stanford.
Yeah.
They put us in a place where the manhole's in the middle of, they just backed the trucks up and left the hoses right in the manhole.
Yeah.
And we had a guy, from DPW, had him staged right there, so wouldn't have to close it, wouldn't have to pull out, because the guys came back and said, we're wasting more time opening the manhole, because I said, not a problem. I brought a guy in, have him sit there.
Yeah.
So they could leave it open. Very, very, very fortunate right now.
Any questions from the commission?
That repair, is that permanent, the clamp?
I'm gonna call it, temporarily permanent.
Do you encase it with concrete later?
No, I don't want to put concrete
It's
on the
the
ductile
liner
iron.
that you think is the permanent? Yeah.
But I think what we have to do is look at that pipe now as a whole and consider it something that we need to prioritize.
Yeah.
Let's start getting some prices, put a plan together on how to do this. I think the band is gonna hold that area, just, is there another one out there? And, I'd prefer not to experience that again, so we're gonna see what we can do cost-wise, and maybe there's a 2-step, maybe this goes in, and then we put together a plan to directional drill a poly pipe through or something like that. That's something that definitely needs to be looked at.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting thought. You just parallel it with a new pipe.
Put it right on top of it.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on this commission that was here on the commission? I know Peter must have been. When we did the 5 Mile River force main repair?
I do. You brought in the section of the pipe.
Okay, thank you.
He can't find that. Do you know where it is? He wants to show me this section of pipe.
I thought you brought it down
It's
to the
gone,
basement, but-
no. His predecessor, Bob Steger, sent our guys down in the basement to clean out the basement.
Okay.
And they threw away my pipe. I'm glad that you saw it. Thank you. And you know why? Because from 3 to 9 o'clock, it was shiny asphalt coating, just like the day it came off the truck.
Yeah.
And on the bottom, it looked like the moon. It was pockmarked and pitted. And from what Ed was saying about our fleet manager guy, when he went down there and took pictures,
Same sort of thing.
there was divots. There was if you're making a thumb cookie. It wasn't as bad as 5 Mile River, but obviously in a couple places it was bad enough to go right through.
Yeah.
Now, in the 5 Mile, you might remember in the 5 Mile River ductile iron pipe, that was cement lined. The cement lining on the inside was perfect. Point being, if we had the capability, which we
The camera on
don't,
the inside, you would have seen a perfect pipe.
you would have said, oh my God, why would we mess with this pipe? This is like the day it was taken off the truck.
Yeah.
And it just gets thin enough until, of course, the cement wall is a couple millimeters, and boom,
Rotting from
breaks.
the outside
The
in,
outside, yeah.
Yeah.
like flaking off.
Yes.
Now on the top, I could tell you what I was able to see from the top, which is a black pipe with a lot of tuberculation. They were scraping it with the shovel.
Yeah.
There was some snot stuck to it. It looked like, maybe some cement that you could scrape right off easily. It didn't look bad from the top.
Yeah, no. But again, if you came to the inside, you still wouldn't have seen what was going on the outside of this pipe. So,
What would the lifespan of a liner be, adding to this?
50 years.
At least 50 years, yeah.
Plus it's
The
flexible
manufacturer.
to 45, I don't have to dig it out. And the compression endings on these things can be bolted right to an adapter, whether it's on PVC pipe or a ductile iron.
So do you get prices for alternate options? Add another
We
pipe?
just started the discussion today, so they were throwing some ideas and, you know, Tony Campanella, the wizard of,
Problem-solving mode.
the wizard of YouTube, pulled one of these things out, sent it to me. It was the whole process that we had just talked about, so, you know, that's something we definitely, have to- you know, the big thing is the report right now.
Yeah, make
You know,
sure.
because I want to make sure it's represented correctly. You know, whatever came out of that hole, once we got that berm built, went into a pump truck and over to Stanford in that manhole.
Yeah.
And whatever trickled down in the gutter and it got into those catch basins was minimal. And if I says it's 50 gallons, I'm probably exaggerating. It's probably less than that. We were able to block that off too. And I think if
And
we
those
learn-
have a sump, right? So they may never.
Catch basins?
Yeah.
I didn't look in them, and when it was dark enough, it got dark in there, that wasn't even something, but when we go over, we'll probably clean them out and see what there is a sump there, and definitely, but we want the report to represent that, yeah, the bypass is gonna, I don't know, you know, throw a number, 6 figures,
Yeah,
50 of it had the opportunity to get into Long Island Sound.
yeah.
You know, so when they read the
By
report, they're
bypass,
gonna
by
just see
truck.
that first line that says, you know,
Yeah.
100,000 gallons, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what happened, and I want to make sure that, that's why we're having a meeting tomorrow, that the report shows the efforts that were made to make sure that it didn't get there, it didn't reach a body of water. And when I said that parking lot was in a premier spot for me, and it just kind of, it popped into my head, this is what we could do. If that happened in town here somewhere, I wouldn't have that opportunity.
You just wouldn't have that much room and
Not-
pulling trucks
not-
around
not
like
even
that,
close.
staging them and getting the diggers and, yeah,
Not even close, it would just continue to run,
yeah.
so.
All right, we'll count our blessings.
Yep.
And
Make a
thank you
plan.
for your good work.
Yeah, I mean, kudos, I mean, at least, I'm sure you were prepared as in having, numbers of people to call. So that's
It's,
Yeah, but
yeah.
they pick up
Always
the
a-
phone.
always a good thing.
Yeah.
Mentally prepared, just, I'm sure you've ran some of these scenarios, as much as you hate to say it, just thought here, there, or ever, but you can never
Yeah,
properly
resignation letter.
prepare, but it sounds like your preparations paid dividends.
It did. We had some good people in the room when we were bouncing these things off. It was like, hey, should we pump down Seagate? Should we pump down Stony Brook? And then pump down Nearwater and use all that volume if we have to, and the trucks. And the more we talked about it, it's like, okay, how much are we really gonna get out of Stony Brook? Would we be wasting a truck there? It'd be by itself, you know? So we tried to concentrate it where we could. I think, you know,
Worked out.
I was more on that. And the more I talked to these guys, they were right, let's get them all in one spot. And collect it at one spot along that line on Nearwater, and that made the most sense. Yeah.
All right. Anything else in the superintendent's report?
The only thing was from the minutes, from last month's meeting, Susan wanted the, like a continual update on, some kind of policy with planning and zoning about, when bedrooms are added.
Oh, yeah, how are we
And
gonna
if
get
there was
identified?
any ongoing discussion there, she kind of wanted that update, even if there is no update.
They put in the process to handle ADUs. I get notified now with the
Okay.
approvals. And I just got one 2 hours ago. So we have a process now, it comes in, I take it. I wrote a cover letter for it, Cindy put together an invoice for it. It goes into our book, the letter goes out, we have a tabulation form that lists all the activity. We have an area for the check number when it comes in, when it's come in, and who initials it when it gets here, and the account to go into. So we kind of set it up now, we only have 2 so far, but I'm assuming maybe we can get maybe 10 a year or
Thanks for
something? Is that?
Who knows?
You guys tell me, I had a gut feel on that? Maybe a height right now, but maybe it'll
Yeah, I
trickle
think-
off a little bit later.
It'll taper off.
But I don't see us getting 2,000 of them, but I do see us getting maybe 15 or 20 this year, but then maybe next year it's 10. So we're set up to handle that right now. The other piece is people that come in for a permit. We've added onto the permit number of bedrooms that exist and number of bedrooms new. If they tell us a certain number and it doesn't match the tax assessors, we use the tax assessor's number. And if they don't like that number, they can go down and deal with Tony, but that's our base. If they come in with plans, they tell us, no, it's 4-bedroom, and I look on the building permit, it says 6, we use 6. I said, now, the only thing that would change that is if somewhere along the lines, they're done, and the tax assessor goes out and says, no, it's only 5. Then we'll make the adjustment then. We'll get him, he'll be refunded $750. So that's the setup for that part now. Does that make sense to everyone?
Sounds great. Oh, no, that sounds like great.
Okay.
Great.
I
There
just
was-
want to collect that connection fee.
There was one appeal that didn't appear, only because I've created a spreadsheet.
They
Because
had-
we lost Penny.
It was Edgerton.
Edgerton, the
57?
Banowskis. Yeah, 57 Edgerton.
They have removed their appeal.
Oh,
I'm getting the sense that next year they will be back.
okay,
That's the sense I got from Cindy.
okay.
I said, if they pull their appeal, they pull their appeal. We stop right there. They need to pay their bill, and then we move on. And if they show up next year, in my opinion, they haven't taken the bite at the apple, I guess, but in my opinion, you get one shot at this if there's extenuating
They have a
circumstances.
big leak, is what you're saying.
If they come in next year and they have another leak, and then the next year after another leak, I'd be a little skeptical, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Bob would join me in the skepticism.
Oh,
So that's why they did not come to this one.
There's no curmudgeon in my name.
Any new business?
5:56.
Have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Right here.
Second?
5:56.
Okay, Peter and Reese, all those in favor? Meeting has concluded. Thank you, Channel 79. We'll see you next time.